Hello, and thanks for watching this Acumatica quick overview. Within the next 15 minutes or so, we're going to go through Acumatica from stem to stern to give you an idea of how it operates and how it could benefit your company. So what you see here is a web browser. It could be any web browser. We happen to be using Firefox. But unlike other ERP systems you may have looked at, Acumatica is 100% web-based. No need for any clunky remote desktop applications or messy web browser plugins. So you can see right here, I'm on the login screen. Acumatica supports single sign-on to Google or Microsoft. You can even use Active Directory, which is Microsoft Entra. And as we log in, you can see in the top right-hand corner, I'm an admin user, which means I can see everything in the system. So on the left-hand side, you see all these menu items. Because I'm an admin user, I can see everything. Different users or different groups of users will see just the menu items that pertain to their roles. So if I want to take a look at the finance workspace, I can see that here. And notice everything is nicely categorized. So all my transactions are under a heading transactions, profiles, processes, my budgets. If we move over to receivables, you'll see transactions again, profiles, processes, my inquiry screens where I can interact with data, my printed forms, my reports. And notice here at the bottom, you have a show all button. Acumatica, if we click on this gear button here, allows you to show just the items you use on a regular basis. But quickly, I can click on show all and see other items here. At the top of the screen, I have different action cards for things that I need to do quickly. So for example, a new invoice, a new payment, adding a new customer. I can configure this and add additional action cards. I can hover over any menu item and add it to favorites. They'll show up under favorites in this workspace. And I can configure and move things anywhere I want, up and down, left and right. And I can even move my workspaces around. And once again, if I don't have rights to a menu item, I won't see it here. You can configure security rights right down to the field and reflect only just read-only or full rights or hide the field altogether. So it goes much further than just the menu items. At the top of the screen, I have a global search. So over here, I can start to type something and it'll find my menu items. If I type a little bit more, it'll refine that search. Notice at the top of the screen, the global search extends to 4 different categories. We've just seen the menu items. If I move over to help topics, Acumatica extends all the help topics. And Acumatica's help is done really well. It's written by documentation people, not developers. So not only do you have referential help on specific fields and things like that, you also have business use cases as to why you might use this feature and then how to use it. If we go back to our global search, and maybe I search for something, I can also search through transactions and profiles. So this will show me all transactions with the word vendor in it. So notice I have some returns to vendors. I have an AP bill, I have a purchase order. Additionally, Acumatica is a document management system. So any files with the word vendor in them will show up here. And you can click on these files and open them up easily. We go back to our main screen. Notice this AI assistant. Acumatica has an AI assistant that allows you to ask pointed questions. So for example, you can say, what are my top 10 customers? Before I continue, only 15% of you are subscribed. Hit that subscribe button now to get notified about new videos and events. And using a private AI model, Acumatica goes and analyzes your data and gives you a list of your top 10 customers. So you can see here, AgriLink Food is at the top of the list with USA Bartending at the bottom of the top 10. And you get analysis too. It leads with 1.67 million in sales, followed by Microchip. We get a nice chart that was created. Top 10 customers by net sales amount. And then you can ask follow-up questions. And Acumatica even gives you suggestions about those questions. And now we have our top 10 customers based on number of orders. AgriLink Food still at the top of the list. Acumatica's AI assistant extends to any data that you would like to analyze, and it's easily configurable. So moving on, notice I have a dashboard. When I log in, this is the screen I see. It's a customer view. But we also have many different dashboards, and you can create as many as you want to analyze information at a glance. So for example, the controller dashboard, the information is laid out. This one comes out of the box from Acumatica, but you have your AR clerk on the left, your accounts payable clerk on the right, and notice information is displayed in different ways. You can define that. So these are considered scorecards. So we can see our total accounts receivable is 9.5 million. Unreconciled transactions are 6,100. And on the AP side, our cash on demand in the next 30 days is 4.6 million. But you also notice we have different donut charts. We have bar charts with legends and line charts. And you can see a number of different dashboards that come out of the box. Here's a warehouse manager with orders to ship, fill rates, average shipments per day, average receipts per day. Notice we can put filters at the top, and that'll filter the entire dashboard. Over here, we have our sales operations. So this shows unassigned leads, unassigned opportunities. Here's our lead distribution status. Notice the legend here and the numbers update as we scroll. The dashboards are easy to configure too. If I click on design, I could move things around. I can edit the widgets, the different widgets we have. So you can see here, this widget is based on this particular inquiry screen. We'll get to that in a little bit. It refreshes automatically every 30 minutes. And here's the colors that we extend based on the values. So red being an alarm, but green being a normal color. And we can define that. And because Acumatica was designed for the web, as you zoom in and out, or as you have different monitors, any computer with any different resolution will automatically resize these screens appropriately. So no need to mess around with your resolution settings to get your ERP to work on your computer. Just another example of the zero maintenance that Acumatica requires. So let's go out, let's go to payables, and let's create a new bill. We can tab through, we can put the date of the invoice on there. We can put in the invoice number that the vendor's given us on the bill. Type a few letters of the vendor's name, and you get a quick search. You can come down here and add your distribution lines. You can use an inventory ID if you'd like. Otherwise, you can simply enough just put an amount in here. You can type a few letters of the chart of account you want to use. And then you can remove the hold if that's turned on for you as a preference and release the bill. If we go over to sales orders, you can see a list of all of the sales orders. And Acumatica uses this as a means to display information, to research information, but also to access existing documents. So for example, here I can click on and open up this sales order 8511. Notice on the right-hand side, we have things called side panels. So these are different menus that allow us to give information based on the record that we've selected here. So if I click on sales orders, I can see the sales order that I'm highlighted here. Remember, you can zoom out to see more information. As I select different records, it automatically changes to the next particular profile, which is a sales order. Over here, I can see a customer profile on the customer that I've selected. If I select this particular order, you can see that customer profile and even make changes to it. We can add different reports based on the record we have here. So this is a report of sales order details for this particular customer. We can see a printed view of the sales order, a dashboard showing sales order statuses, orders to ship, late orders, open orders, shipments in progress, or any returns by the customer. All of this is drillable, and we can get into those documents immediately. So this is to say the side panels, you can configure any number of new side panels that you want. But this list of sales orders, we call it an inquiry screen, doesn't stop there. I can click on any column and do a filter. So maybe order total, I want to see a range of in between $1,000 to $5,000. And now I can see it. I can build more filters. So this shows me my different filters that I have set up, and I can save those filters. I can even share them with other users. And now when I want to access that filter, it shows up right here. Last 90 days, or even dynamic filters such as my orders. I only want to see my orders that I've created. We can even create pivot tables. So for example, maybe I want to see orders by customer by year. I'll share it with other people. I can make it my default too. And so for my rows, I'm going to show customers. For my columns, I'm going to show the date, but I don't want every date. I want to round to the year. And I want to see not total number of orders. I could do that with the order number, but I want to see the order total for each customer. So I close out of that. And now I have a nice pivot table by customer by year. And Acumatica lets you drill into these pivot tables. So if I want to know, for example, what is the $63,000 for Alta Ace in 2022, I can click on it and see all of those orders. So let's create a new sales order. We tab through. We select a few letters of the customer's name. We can add items, or we can go line by line. So if we want to go line by line, we simply tab along. All of these columns are configurable. You can hide any columns you don't use. You can even change the tab stops so that when you're tabbing through, it only picks the columns that you want to actually put data into. By clicking Add Items, we can show items that are available only. And we can click on those items and put quantities in here as kind of an order guide. We can even see sold since for this customer. So if we put in an earlier date, we can see the entire sales history for this customer. What they bought, how many they bought, and what price they paid for, and what date they bought it on. So you can tell your customer, well, you know, it looks like you haven't bought this in a while. And if they negotiate the price, you know what they paid last. Acumatica has integrated email. So we can print the sales order out, of course. We can automate the email out, of course. We can automatically send emails out. But additionally, we can also look at this particular sales order form, take a look at it. If there's any notes, you'd see them down here. We can export this to Excel or PDF. But more than that, we can click on email and we're given a pop-up email activity that we can use. We can have a template here that automatically pre-fills in some of the information, but you can change this email to make it anything you want. And we've attached the order form as a PDF, and we simply click send. And what's convenient is the entire email history will show up here. So as the customer replies, as you send emails out, the entire history is right from here. Acumatica allows us to create the shipment, or we can do a quick process if we have some sort of retail operation. All of your menu items for this order in its status show up here. But additionally, you can also create favorites. If you want to see them up here, it's easy to configure which ones you use all the time. Well, as we mentioned before, Acumatica will fit on any web browser. That includes your mobile device. Acumatica also has a mobile app. So as we look at the home screen here, you can see things like recently visited, and potentially every menu item in Acumatica is accessible through the mobile app. There's a lot out of the box, but you can also add anything that you want with a little bit of configuration. If we go over to sales orders, we look at our sales order screen, you could see the sales order we just created. We can create a brand new one and you'll see it in Acumatica. It's immediate. There's no sync. Notice all of the filters we just created, they show up here. You can look at the sales order by tapping it. You have a nice header information up here. You can hold it. You can perform operations here, take a payment. You can add this particular record to favorites. So maybe this is your big sales order that you're trying to close. When you go into the mobile app, you'll see it right from the main screen. But you can access all the information here and make changes on the fly. Acumatica includes time and expenses. So baked into the product, you have the ability to track expense receipts and record them. But in Acumatica's mobile app, you can open up, we can capture an expense receipt, click it, and Acumatica will recognize the receipt, all the different components, and understand where the date's coming from, where the amount, and the description. So now that information is pre-filled in for us, along with the date, You can pick an expense item to categorize it correctly. Notice the amount is updated here. If me as the employee is paying a part of it, then I can put that there. How am I paying for it? You could reconcile it with a company credit card. Is it assigned to a project or a customer? We could rebuild the customer. And we can save it. Later, when I'm ready, I can put all these into an expense claim and submit them for approval. Or I can claim them all right now. Acumatica's mobile app allows you to add KPIs. So all of the dashboard widgets we talked about, they're essentially available here in the mobile app. So for example, manufacturing orders to release today, I can include those, or all of my overdue support cases. Total wins, open accounts plus 30 days. And when I go back to my home screen, I can now see those widgets right in the mobile app. And they update real time. Any of your favorites will show up here. Notice the sales order number that we tagged. You can come over here and even track time. You can start a clock if you're working on a project for a customer. Acumatica's project accounting is second to none. If we go back, Acumatica has process screens as a means to push things through. So you don't have to handhold every single document. So when we're talking about orders, the process order screen allows you to pick from actions that are appropriate. So for example, if I want to create all my shipments, these are all my order shipments that are available to be created. So I can check off the ones that I want and click process, or process all of them. Or I can add a scheduler to this and have this done in the morning, maybe the morning and the afternoon. A lot of companies, they'll set it up in the morning for their priority orders, customers that want things overnight. And then later in the day, later in the morning, mid-morning, they'll create shipments for the remaining orders. So you can filter all this and add schedules to this so that it automatically gets done. After an order, we have a shipment. We go to process shipments. You have all the actions for the shipments. So for example, I can print all my pick lists, get them all out there. Acumatica's warehouse management system, advanced warehouse management, allows you to do paperless picking. So you can use that mobile app to do all of that. But here I can print my pick list manually. I can print all my labels. Any shipments that have already been confirmed, meaning they've gone out the door, I can automatically create all of my invoices. And then later, process invoices allows me to release all my invoices and email them out to customers. So this is to ensure that the entire flow from order to shipment to invoice gets completed with no order, shipment, or invoice left behind. So thank you for watching the Acumatica Quick Overview. We'd love to do a live demo for you and show you just how in-depth and how great Acumatica can be for your company. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.